Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome back to the Cowgirl-inspired Kai Schulin project, where last time we started adding all these kind of really dark gray slash black areas. We got the straps going around, we started on the hand, and we got a little more. We got this arm kind of finished out. And since the last session, I went and I did a second coat over everything, which, thank goodness, it looks like the blacks, or slash dark grays, only need the two coats to kind of come out the way they want to. And I don't know how nicely it looks on camera. Let me bring this thing around, kind of where it's going to be. But in real life, I can definitely see a difference between the lighter of the grays and the darker of the grays. I'm not sure how well it reads on camera. Actually, it looks like you can see the difference on camera. So that's all it really is. It's a really kind of subtle change, and that's all we're looking for. So today we're going to go and we're going to kind of finish things off, hopefully, on that part. And let me get a couple things in order here, because pretty much the entirety of the legs now get that kind of darker black. And I can take the knee pads off. And what I forgot to do before was, I believe the center of the knee pad is going to be the lighter. It's going to have a darker trim around that. So I need to make sure when we get to that point to do that. Which actually, let me start with that. I think we're going to have a little bit of a change going on this time. At least in the, I think our final product is going to look, or by the end of this session, things are going to start looking pretty good. Like I said, the upper body, I think, is definitely starting to read nicely at this point. Once again, the glasses are off, so we're going to assume I'm doing everything on camera. And let's at least get the outer perimeter on this. And I think I'm starting to like, for painting, the camera being over here. I can kind of see what I need to. I think you can see what you need to kind of get things to work. And I'm starting to like, I know on bangs I showed the first two coats of paint over everything. I think just doing the one coat is enough without getting kind of monotonous. And I can just then take my time and do subsequent coats after that and kind of let you know how long things have been. So to do the reds and the extra skin tone, that was like an extra 2 hours worth of stuff. And if you're keeping track at home with the number of the amount of videos I have done so far, we can add the 2 hours from the previous one and another hour for second coating these blacks between the previous session and this one. So I think that puts us up to around 7 or so hours worth of priming slash painting. I think this is session 5 I'm starting. So, okay, I know we get behind there as well, but my fingers are already messed up from work. Again, that's caulking stuff. It's funny how caulk, which is supposed to be your waterproofing all kind of seams and whatnot, doesn't just wash off when you try to wash your hands. You have to kind of wear it off. So unfortunately, you're stuck with me having very work-like looking hands again. I am not going to be a hand model anytime soon. It's just not going to happen. And my hope is I'm not getting my head in the shot. I think I got my head in the shot in one of the things last time. So let's not do that. I don't need to bend in that close to these things. Especially on this when I'm cutting in from the black into what's going to be a very similar looking black in due time. But as nice it would be to start off with the other arm, I think I'm just going to jump straight into the legs. Let's make some, again, forward big visual progress. And then go from there. Alright, so we can keep one on one side and keep one on the other side. Because the nice thing is, all of this, everything else here on here, except the little kind of brass spots, is going to get this black. So it kind of makes things really easy to figure out. In fact, there's almost nothing to figure out. We can just finally just do. Let's see how long it takes us to do, because I'm using a smaller brush than I did, again, we did the primer. There will be some cut-in things. I'm using a brush that will be appropriate for the cut-in things, but for some of these larger areas, like the boots here, it kind of seems like underkill. What's the opposite of overkill? I'm using something much smaller than is needed. There's got to be a word. There's got to be a phrase for that. Because this is it. Whatever that word is, this is it. We're going to go. It's going to take a little longer just because of that. But again, our goal right now is make sure all the little white spots disappear. Yes, the first coat looks blotchy as heck. That is part and parcel of how this works. But as long as we don't mistake the primer looking white spots on here for blotchiness, we are all good. And as long as I can keep things kind of tilted towards you so we all can see stuff, that's also good. And I know it's really awkward, but you probably think it's old news by this point, but yeah, Halloween is now tomorrow. And we've had our big rainstorms and all that kind of came through earlier today. But no, looks like it's going to be a nice kind of Halloween trick-or-treating kind of time. Which again, I know for you that was a week ago. But it should be a good time. I always like coming back for that one. It's just kind of fun seeing the kids go around. Usually we pick up about 6 bags of candy. And we'll, on any given year, go through just about all of it. We had one year where, well, usually when we get the kids and whatnot that come through, I live kind of in a complex area, so there are kind of large groups of kids. At least when you first kind of moved in, it used to be like the super large groups. You'd have like 20, 30 kids like in a group, just kind of like just roaming through, going building to building. And it's since kind of died off to smaller, kind of more manageable ones the last couple of years, where rather than 2 or 3 kind of mega groups, it's now kind of a steady parade of anywhere from the groups of maybe like 5 to 10 people who come through. But typically it's like the older kids actually come in earlier, which is surprising to me. They're usually in by like, I don't know, between 5:30 and 6 o'clock is kind of like the main time, and then kind of like once they kind of go and do their thing, then kind of it gets dark outside, and the parents, like the really young kids, tend to come out, I guess, to avoid mixing with the older kids. I'm not sure what it is, but then I would think it would be the opposite. The older you get, the later you come, but it actually doesn't work out that way over here in my neck of the woods. But usually it's fun. Most people are pretty good during that. Every now and again, there's always at least one group where you get a small gang of like the high schoolers who kind of show up, and they know they're kind of too old to be doing it. I know they're kind of too old to be doing it, and they just kind of show up and just like hand out their bag. No, actually, let's go and just like shove the bag out and don't say anything. And I'm looking at them just like waiting, going, nope. You got to say the words first. You can't just do that. I know you're embarrassed to be here, but this is why. You got to say the thing. I'm one of those guys. But usually it's fun. It looks like the weather's going to be nice, which will help. Getting all this bad stuff out today. Generally, I get back in time from work to do this stuff, to hand out the candy, which is also good. Because, yeah, no, my boss's side of things, I'm cutting in here like I really need to cut in super much. This is going to be painted black as well. It's right down here where it hits the gray, where it gets a little hinky. I'm not sure you're seeing. You probably can't see what I'm trying to do in here. I'm trying to get the underside of that without hitting that gray. Even though if I do, I have more gray mixed up, I will have one more, or at least one more session. Again, probably not on camera, of just anytime something hits things or the brush stroke kind of got a little bit off, just kind of do little touch-ups on all of these colors. I will be doing that towards the end. I already know there are a number of spots like on the grays where that kind of hit the gray part where it shouldn't have, and there will be those touch-ups. So I'm not super concerned. It is nice Halloween's on a Friday this year. That's like this year, next year, like the optimal years for that. It's always awkward when it's like on a Monday. You're like, well, that's not usually your kind of party day to be doing stuff. But no, Friday is a nice one for it. Just kind of a chill, go into the weekend, have a good time. It's something to look forward to for the week if you're a kid or whatnot, or you're in school. Or I still enjoy seeing kind of the fun costumes that come out. Most people just kind of get like the store bought stuff, but every now and then you get like the really creative ones, and those are always a blast to kind of find. I think my favorite was still from like probably 5, 6 years ago. Someone came in as a hot air balloon. It was just like hot air balloon made out of like those clown balloons where you go kind of the super long ones you can go and like turn into a dog and stuff like that, or kind of it was just made up of dozens and dozens of those kind of things, and it was amazing. I loved it. But those are the types of stuff I love seeing when they come out, to see like the creativity from those who want to go the extra mile kind of deal. Oh, trying to get inside the boot is so hard. Of course, then it's awkward when you actually do run out of candy. Then you have to go and turn the lights off. And every now and again, somebody goes and sees the lights off too, and also goes and just rings the doorbell, and you're like, lights are off. I don't have anything for you anymore. I'm done. We gave it all. Yeah, you should go through that. There was one year though where just like everybody just avoided our building for some reason. And we wound up with like 5 bags of candy left in the end. And we're like, wasn't prepared for this. What do I do with 5 bags of candy? This isn't good. I'm not at the age where I go and eat that much stuff. Yes, I enjoy sweets. I still like chocolate. I'm not gonna lie. I still enjoy the stuff, but I don't know what to do with that much stuff. But there was one year when it happened. It wasn't the COVID year either. COVID year we kind of understood what was going on. But it was just a random year where just you'd watch like this giant pack of people come around and nothing. They'd walk around, walked right past our building and walked to the next one and just kind of kept going. You're like, okay. We exist. Our building's good. Unless it could have been there were just there's like a group of kids or whatever from our building who may have just gotten together, or a lot of the ones who are kind of in the area were just from our building. They just kind of figured if they're all out, nobody else is left to dispense with the good stuff. So they just buy, I don't know, whatever it was. There was one weird year where we wound up with way too much stuff left in the end. But nah, I enjoy these. It's a nice little reprieve from the usual. Even if it only lasts like an hour and a half in the end, then it's kind of done. It's still a nice little reprieve. Plus, it gives me an excuse at work to go and bring a giant novelty hat thing that I can only really wear once per year on Halloween, so I figure I might as well do it. Clients always enjoy it, so if it brings a smile to somebody else's face, it's all good. Yeah, it's a giant, it's one of those like Dr. Seuss kind of hats, only it's flames that go up. Because I've had that one for about 24 years now. I think I've had that hat, and I break it out every single year. Got that one back senior year of high school, back when I was at the Science Olympiad team. Because we went to nationals every year in the Science Olympiad team. At least when I made the team in high school. I tried really hard, but never made it in middle school. But made it in high school, and then we went to nationals the years I was there, or I was on the team, which was cool. And the first night you go to nationals, they have a swap meet where all the teams, like all the states in the country, get together and they just kind of go and trade things that kind of represent their state. And of course, my state, they are guys who are kind of figuring that out. I forget who on our team was doing that. It wasn't me. But they couldn't think of anything for my state. So they just got these Dr. Seuss kind of looking flame hats and said, all right, we can give these things out. And frankly, I thought that was pretty cool. So I just kept my hat. That was that. End of story. It's funny, the first. You can tell who's been to those events before and who hasn't, because when you get to that swap meet, you have half the guys are there like, oh, I want to see what like this state has. I want to see what this state has. What kind of reps is that? This is fun, kind of going around. And by the time you get to the kind of senior year, and you've kind of been there a couple times, you understand what's going on. You're like, all right, I just want to get rid of stuff. Please, somebody take this. I don't care what it is. I don't need this sitting in my room anymore. Let me trade it away. And you go through that whole life cycle on that. Fun times. But no, that has become my go-to like Halloween hat now. I don't know why. It just kind of became that. Probably because there's no other time of year I can do it. I have a really good-looking kind of Santa hat too. I kind of break out for Christmas. I'd gotten before. Oh shoot! There's a bookstore that began with W. I forget the name of it. It was had it on display and I got it like 15 years ago or so. A really, really nice, good quality looking one. And yeah, every Christmas now I kind of break that one out too. But again, those are the types of things where there's really only so many times you can break out stuff like that. So we make it count. So Halloween, I break out the one. Christmas, at least the final day of work before Christmas, I'll go and kind of break out the other. And those are really the only kind of fun ones I have for the year. But kind of debating whether or not to even break that one out this year because it's a little more awkward because usually we kind of have the long-term projects we're doing, so you have a little more of a repertoire with the clients and they're used to seeing you all the time, so to see kind of in a playful mood is always kind of fun. But we're kind of doing more handyman-ish kind of stuff. We're in and out of the house on like different house kind of each day kind of deal, or every other day. I've already spent a couple days this week doing exterior trim. Today was doing interior stuff in a different project. Tomorrow is going to be somewhere else. And when you're kind of doing it that way, it's a little more awkward kind of doing something like that. But I don't know, I'll probably throw it in the truck and we'll see if I will or won't. It is a client I know. I've done stuff with them before. Just haven't seen them in some time, so it might be a little awkward to break that out in the situation. But at the same time, if it makes somebody smile, that's what counts. You don't actually work in the hat. Basically, it's kind of you show up for the job, then it's not exactly an OSHA approved kind of headwear to be using. So it's mostly just fine for going in, getting into the project, kind of saying hi, and you kind of take that off, and then maybe like at lunch you can pop it on, or end of the day when going home you kind of pop it back on again. But yeah, it's not a good working hat. Okay. I'll not get any more black stuff on my fingers. I already have enough stuff on my fingers. Trying to get a brush into certain areas. All right, get the excess off first. I can see the end of the brush is twisted a little bit, so I want to make sure the brush is twisted the right way to account for that. And I want to do a good cut in on this, because again, if you do a good cut in on the first go, it makes it easier on the second, when I do the second coats. Oh yeah, I need to touch up some of the gray. I got stuff on there. But that's fine. Little touch-up things are expected, and they're not hard to deal with. So Okay, so at least now with that cut in, now we can just kind of go ham. Which is a phrase I'm not sure where that one came from. So that's another one I should probably look up at some point. What does going ham actually mean? Or rather, where did it originate? Why is it a thing? Or is it just a regional thing that I say? Nobody else does. Which could also be very much the case. Alright, and I do need to make sure when I do this, I don't do the little buckle things. Those little buckle things are brass. So we don't touch those. Because the brass color doesn't like covering up black very well, and it takes quite a few coats to do so. So let's try to stay out of that whole quagmire. I was gonna say boondoggle, but I'm not sure where the origins of the word boondoggle come from. Speaking of which, all these random useless facts I'm not gonna say I probably should know, but would be curious to know some of them. Every now and again, when they come to mind. Okay. Yeah, once again, first coat is going to look a little blotchy. That's just part of what it is. When we come back and I do the second coat, all of this will come together nicely. But same time, I have been looking forward to this coat just because ever since I did the torso, it's been looking kind of very top-heavy weight-wise. Usually if you do something, you want to have kind of darker on the bottom and it gets lighter as it goes because visually darker colors have more weight to it, so it just feels right being darker on the bottom. So I've been kind of looking forward to doing this part just because then after this comes the brass stuff. I think once the brass stuff is on, that'll probably get the hat going. I'll probably get the eyes finished next time as well. Each time I come down here, I've come down here now a couple times, I keep doing another coat of white on the eyes just to kind of get them whiter, 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 and it still hasn't quite gotten to where I want it to be. I think I'm like at 4 coats now on that white on the eyes, and still hasn't quite gotten to the level I want it to be before I put the irises in there. So we're getting closer, the pupils and whatnot. So we're getting close, but I'm not quite there. So my hope is when I come back and do the second coat on this, I can do another coat on the eyes, and we're getting really close. But yeah, it would be nice to get that part done, because then that really brings the face together, even if it's in shadow from the hat the whole time. But what am I looking at? I'm looking at stuff that hasn't been done. Oh, some of these cut-ins on the gray. I'm definitely gonna be cutting in some of this gray again, for sure. I am seeing some spots. But it's also not worth doing it until this part is kind of completely done, just so I don't get any more stuff on there as we go. Okay, the look is definitely changing. I don't have glasses on, and I can already tell the look is definitely changing. I can't say if it's for the better or not, because now it's half black, half white, so it looks really weird even that way. But I am doing everything on camera, yes. I don't know why. I just get so paranoid now. Ever since the building phase, I've just been so paranoid about getting stuff on camera. Even though nothing is moving this time, I'm doing everything in the same place. I'm not swiveling the camera around. I am actually tempted tonight to pop on the Vampire Hunter D movie, just because doing the Yoshitaka stuff has kind of now brought that to mind. It's very kind of seasonal, season appropriate for that. Although once this is being broadcast, it'll be November, and it's slightly less season appropriate if you want for that. But it's just, it's such a good movie. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. It's just, yeah, I found that one because it's a Yoshitaka work. And it's one of those, even if you're not a fan of like the genre, like Vampire Hunter kind of genre thing, it's just, it is an absolute visual spectacle. It is a beast when it comes to visuals. They put so much effort into that one. It's nuts. And every single scene is just drop dead gorgeous. So every once in a while, I enjoy kind of just pulling that one out. It's usually kind of like once a year kind of deal, but every once in a while, yeah, it's worth kind of just going back to some of the oldies but goodies that we enjoy watching over. And I'm sure you have your own kind of shows you enjoy watching, kind of whether they're seasonal things or whether they're just ones you enjoy in general that you like going back to every once in a while. I think that's definitely one of those that kind of fits that bill. It's worth every once in a while kind of going back to, if just to admire just how it looks, how it sounds, just a quality production. Actually, the story's really good in that one too, which is the even more surprising part because you think it's just a straight vampire thing, but it actually has a pretty dang good story as well, which helps. Although usually when you get like the super high production value ones like that, they tend to have really good stories too, because if you're putting that much effort into it, you gotta put effort into something that's worth putting effort into, I guess, in a way. So it's not super surprising that that does pull together in the end. But no, it's definitely, if you've never seen it before and you have the means, I would definitely recommend that one. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. There are two Vampire Hunter D movies. There's one that came out in like I guess it was late 80s, like 1988 or something like that. And it's rough. It is a very 80s movie. I watched that one first. And I think if you want to get the most out of the other one, which came out, I think it was like 2004 or something like that. I forget when Bloodlust officially came out, or the hard date that it did. But there are references to the first one in the second. It's absolutely not necessary to watch the first one to enjoy the second. They are 100% separate movies, separate experiences. But if you want to get like kind of cameos and like, oh, I've seen that character before kind of thing, or I kind of have an idea of what's going on, it's interesting going through the first. That said, if you've watched the second one, it's going to be really hard to go back to the first just because the first one is so 80s dated that it's really, really hard to jump backwards to it. So it's also, you get a recommendation to start with the first one, but at the same time, it's hard to recommend the first one just because it's as dated as it is. But it does give little kind of aha kind of moments to the second when you get to it. So it's kind of that weird, not sure how to recommend viewing the series. If your series are two, as far as I know, there are two on how to do it. But in any event, I enjoy it. It's a good one, and it's just good times. So might do that later on tonight. We'll see. See how much time I give myself in the evening, and if I feel like just breaking it out. Because the only problem with movies is you do need to set some amount of time aside for them. Okay, you are not cut in nice and straight. There we go. Got that. Okay, so we're getting there. She looks like she has waders on now, so I don't know if that's good or not. But it is what it is. How are we doing time-wise? We are all right, about a half hour in. So yeah, so goal is to finish off this. If I don't get to the arm, then I don't get to the arm. I'll just add that to next session's thing, because next session I'm probably going to be doing the brass kind of pieces, and that's not going to take too long. And then I may go and do like, I can do that, I can do the other arm, I can do some of the weapon stuff, and then I kind of want to save the hat for the time after, because the hat is going to be the same color as her camouflage cloak. So I can then do a whole lot of that kind of in one go. Or at least the camouflage cloak has 4 different colors involved. There are 2 shades of red, 2 shades of tan, and the shade of red and shade of tan that are on the hat are both individually some of these shades that are on, yeah, that are on the camouflage and cloak are the same. So whatever it is, when I do the hat, I'm going to do a coat on the other part as well, is what I'm trying and failing to say. All right, so we got that in there, so that makes that look a little bit better. I keep thinking my finger is going to be breaking the one on here, and that element is one of the least likely to break on the entire project, just because the way it was physically installed. If you remember from early on, it's pretty much stapled in. It's not going to go anywhere. So I don't need to be super, super careful. But at the same time, I also don't want to tempt fate with stuff, so let's not tempt fate with stuff. Okay, we got down below cut in. Let's get a little more. Actually, by the time this is done, up top might be dry and hardened, and I can start grabbing a different area because I'm slowly losing space that I can actually hold on to right now. And considering what I am holding on to is going to need to be painted in the end anyway, I'm going to need something else to grab. Alright, make sure we get into all of these little cracks and crevices. Alright, let's cut around you nicely. I'm trying to think what other vampire things are actually good. The Hellsing Ultimate was another. The storyline's whatever on that one, but it's another one of those kind of ultra visual powerhouses. The original Hellsing's not bad. That's actually another good looking one, but when they did the Ultimate OVA, the 10-part OVA, that is another absolutely beast when it comes to visual powerhouses. But otherwise, I'm not really in tune with the vampire kind of genre. I've only seen really the couple. So I know there are a whole bunch of other things out there. I know back when Sci-Fi Channel was still spelt sci-fi and not sci-fi, back when they changed their name like 20 years ago, they had I think it was Blood Plus or something like that was one of the shows that was showing. So I know there are others that are around, but I'm only really familiar with the couple. And there are definitely ones they put effort into. That's for sure. Again, it's not generally a genre I go out of my way to watch, but every now and again, just stuff hits the spot. And I think that's what it comes down to. Every now and again, just kind of any given genre just kind of hits the spot. Like I just want to do this. Usually, like every January, kind of. Actually, it has been like every January for the last like 5 years. I get in this kind of '80s mindset. Like I just want to. I know a lot of the '80s stuff. There's some that are really, really good. You look at things like Cyber City Oedo and stuff like that. They are amazingly good shows, but there are a lot of garbage ones out there too. But I just get in that mood like I just want something '80s. I don't care if it's good or bad. I just want an '80s thing, and it's kind of become a lot of my January kind of stuff. It just hits that point. Sometimes, like I said, for right now, kind of the vampire thing can kind of hit that. It's in that I'm in that seasonality where just sometimes you just like have that desire, just fill a desire to just fill that need. that's kind of where I am on this one right now. That said, by the time the next project is done, I might be sick of the Amano stuff, but that's going to be a while from now. I think that project I'm looking at could technically be faster than this one, but, whoop, sorry, I think that stuff was off camera. But at the same time, it's going to be a lot of learning and applying skills that I have in ways that I haven't had to apply them before. Let's put it that way. It's going to test some of the skills I have, and it's going to require me to apply stuff differently. But I am looking forward to it. All right, I am down in the basement. I'm doing this right now, and upstairs, I just heard my phone bing for getting a text. Awesome. Why are my ears so good? The doors and stuff are closed. I shouldn't be hearing this stuff, but whatever. I don't know how. In the profession that I'm in, my ears should not be as good as they are. Working around power tools and everything I do, my ears should not be as attentive as they are. But at the same time, my vision is garbage, and it has been for over 30 years. My sense of smell is usually not very good. The vision's not very good. But dang, my hearing is amazing. So, I'll take it. It's like my body knows has to make up for it somehow. Okay. Well, we're losing that kind of cowgirl look. I'll give it that. Which I guess is a good thing. And I'm holding something. Yes, I can hold down there and be... I can hold down there and be fine until I realize it's not conducive to getting to the areas I need to actually paint. Okay. Get in there. No, get in there. I see white in weird places. Although that could be gray in weird places too, with the angle I'm looking at it. Okay, you probably saw none of that. That's not something that wants to be black. Alright, as long as I kind of just wipe it off a little bit, I'll be able to tell when I go and do those bits and pieces later that it'll be good, a fair game. Yeah, that's the problem with first coats is, yeah, every now and again you just kind of, you miss a detail or just, being so much of this is black, it's just so easy to hit something like those little kind of buckly things that shouldn't be. Alright, let's cut it in the bottom on this side as well. And then it looks like, yeah, the boots and all that are dry, so I will be able to move my setup, or what I'm holding after this, which is good, because I'm very quickly getting to a point where that would be super, super helpful. I'm trying to think what other genre of stuff I really do kind of have like desires for. Because they don't usually pop up that often. It's kind of like every now and again. But I know if I've like walked downstairs and kind of just turn on the TV and just going to browse stuff, there are a couple movies that if they're ever showing, just like instantly I'll just go and sit down and keep watching. Things like The Fugitive, or like U.S. Marshals kind of stuff. All those are ones I'll probably instantly just like sit down, hang out with. Dark Knight's another one that one's on. I'll continue watching that. Usually I'm still a softie for the Lord of the Rings ones. It's been a while since I've seen them, But I still enjoy those when they pop on. Usually, I think the second movie is still the best in my mind of them. The first one is kind of slow to get started, and the third one just kind of drags by the end. But I think the second movie is the sweet spot in that series. Still remember my going in. That series came out when I was in college. So we'd come back and I think it came out in December. So we'd come back for winter break and go and watch the movie in theaters. I remember my dad came to the first one with us to the theater, and I remember his only comment afterwards was that movie was 3 hours long and it didn't end. I don't know if he didn't realize it was a trilogy, it was going to be part of a larger thing or not, but we're kind of looking over and going you do realize you just sat down and watched Gods and Generals the other week, so I wouldn't talk. Well, we find the stuff we're all interested in, and that's that. If you're not interested in it, 3 hours is a long time. If you are interested, it's time well spent. But yeah, no, I 100% understand that feeling. It was just the timing of it between that and when he watched the other one was just you do realize. Alright, we're getting there. I need to move my grip and try not to hit stuff I shouldn't be hitting while moving grip. Alright, I see the little buckle this time. I'm not going to go over the buckle. I refuse. I like to pretend that I learned sometimes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Problem is you don't realize if you learned something or not, really until you don't. And then all you know is you realize, yeah, I just made that exact same mistake again. Alright, awesome. I learned nothing. You never really feel like you've learned something. It's always the opposite. You only learn that you haven't learned. I can tell I'm in the back half of this session because I've run out of stuff to say without repeating things. You don't need to hear any more Halloween talk. That is old news at this point for you, and it's soon to be old news for me. Just give it a couple days. Or a day. Tomorrow at this time. Halloween is pretty much old news. Yeah, but this time I'm sitting at my computer. The lights are all off in my room because my computer is set up pretty much in the family room that overlooks the house, or overlooks kind of the front of the house, so that's where the light would be on if anyone's going to be... Why am I cutting in this? This entire section is dark. Ding dong. So, yeah, usually for an hour or so after everything is done, it's I'm at the computer, it's pitch black in the room there, and it's alright, well, here we are. This is my life for the next short while we try to hope kids don't stop by at this point. Because I have nothing to give them. They had 6 bags worth of stuff we had to go through. They had their chance by that point. And no, I don't buy the variety packs of stuff. Don't do that way. I get individual packages, which seems to be out of style right now. But you get the individual stuff and just find 6 different things that if we have left over in the end, I wouldn't mind having myself. As I said, usually we'll have a couple pieces left in the end. We do go through most of those 6 bags, but if we do have stuff left, I want it to be something that I wouldn't mind having myself. So, but I still refuse to get the variety packs. It just doesn't. Why do variety stuff? Kids are going to get variety going from house to house. They don't need, individual house doesn't need that. You can pick your own stuff. Unless it's just a way for companies to sell the brands that nobody likes buying in the first place. So if you package it with something that people do, they go, oh, hey, we can sell more of these. Which is probably what it is. All right, we're getting there. On its own, I can't tell if this is better or worse, but how are we doing on time? 45 minutes. Can I touch the feet? I can touch the feet. Yes. All right, now comes fun cut-in time. Which is also fun because I can see gray all over these pieces that, or this strap that I'm doing right here. So my guess is there's going to be a fair amount of back and forth. I'm going to get a little stuff on the gray after this coat, and then I'm going to need to kind of cut in again the other way because I already have a little bit of gray on top of these. So there's definitely going to be a back and forth in this section. Section. Will I ever say session and section correctly? Don't ask questions I already know the answers to. Unless you're a lawyer, then only ask questions that you know the answer to. Don't ask questions you're going to be surprised by. Okay. Okay, you probably can't see where I am trying to get the brush into, but I can assure you I am failing miserably in either missing the little white spots that I'm seeing, or I need to cut in more gray. A little of column A, a little of column B. You know what? I'm starting to think that, yes, after the camera is turned off, sometime between this and my next recording, I'm going to be touching up some of this gray. Strange feeling, but why put that off when I can... Because I have some gray I need to kind of touch things up with. I do have some of the red I need to touch things up with. There are a number of things now that I do need. Because that's all, we can even see that's all wonky in there. So, definitely things I need to work on. Here I feel a little less bad if I get stuff on the other because it's going to be harder to see. If I get this light black onto the other light black, because they are so close. Little white spot. All right, we got the little white spot. That's what counts. All right. I'm going to go ahead and say that arm is not going to be done today. Let's just throw that out there. If I somehow finish these legs early, we are not going towards the arm. Okay. Nope, I missed the paint. Come on. I just want like the teeniest of drops to get on here. I get under that, get over this. Oh, come on, get that little white spot. Hey, all right, we got it. We in there. All right, next strap. These cockamamie straps that still don't make any sense to me whatsoever from a design standpoint. They wrap from here, they wrap around, and then just end. It just... It may look visually interesting until you actually understand what it is or isn't doing, and you realize, what? Who designed this? Nobody would do this. That's it. I am excited to see what this is when I put this back together at the end of this session. Hey, I actually said the word correctly this time. That was the one I meant to say. Because my hope is this black is going to make it feel a lot more correct. Kind of weight-wise, have a little more weight on the bottom, which will help to balance out the top. Ooh, we have a lot of gray we need to cut in. Definitely not done with gray. Definitely not done with the gray. This is also not the right way to be holding a brush if we want things to be good and smooth and nice to cut in. That is too much paint, too much paint. We don't want that much on here. That's just going to lead to problems. All right, almost there. If nothing else, this shouldn't look like a cowgirl anymore. I know I said Dalmatian in the last session, but reality is it looked more like a cow with kind of the size of the spots, but should look a little more correct. All right, I still see more white right up there. Get the brush in some of these spots, please. All right, so all we have left is this belt up top. And actually, that should probably be the other black. Not sure. I don't think I looked closely enough at that to see, and I don't need to cut in up top. The entire top there is going to be black. So bottoms, yes, need to cut in the bottom. And once again, the entire buckle area is the brass, so don't need to worry about that. Get underneath. Also get paint on the brush. Alright, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be light or dark. At the same time, the colors are so close that probably can't really, if I can't tell on the image, then I think we're going to be fine going either way. And I didn't color that one last time, so we're going to make it this version. Oh, I see white to the side of it. Okay. Alright, little black loopy thing number 2. I'm not really sure what these things are either. There's feels like they're just details thrown on here that I just don't understand. Of course, I'm saying that for this model is wait till I get to the Yoshitaka one. When I do the Amano one, yeah. Details that he's drawn that I just don't understand, oh yeah, that's going to be modus operandi for the entire thing. His are all about emotion, whereas my brain works on kind of engineering and logic kind of stuff. So it is going to be an interesting juxtaposition trying to change my brain, the way the brain works just a little bit to make things work, or at least to kind of figure things out. I'm just doing just this little rim around the edge. I don't need to go any more than that. Actually, if anything, that would probably be red, because that is kind of where the shirt is. But, what are we on time? 56. Okay. So we're going to go over just a little bit, but that's fine. It wouldn't be the longest session. I think I had like an hour 10 one or something. Ooh, excuse me, once. I forget which one it was, but I have had at least one substantial one before. But we're so close to getting this part finished that might as well get this part finished. And besides, like I said, we're so close. So close. Which, if I'm going to actually put you together, let's go and put the black on this top edge right now. So that can have at least a second to harden, because these acrylics harden really, really quick. It's almost like using shellac at work. The shellac dries in just minutes. This is kind of the same thing. So let's get a little bit up there so that I can come back and now do this. Get this in. And yeah, you can see just how long it takes to actually paint these types of things. Painting does take a while. If we have a 30 hours, might be, by the time all is said and done, this might be 30 hours worth of modeling, or 35 hours, whatever it was, worth of modeling time. And painting by the end of this is probably going to be in that 15 to 20, but it seems like the rate I'm going. So this makes, what, hour 8, I think we said I'm on. And I still have all the camouflage stuff to do. I still have all the weapons to do. A lot of the body with this is now going to be, is generally done. I do want to do some things with that red. I want to change the red, I think, a little bit. So there's going to be more on that to go. Ooh, I have some touching up on these. This is not the neatest. The final product will be nice and neat in the end. Should I say product or production? Or it's not really production. I feel like weird saying product. It's not something I'm selling. The final form. Whatever it is, it will be neat in the end. You can see some of the painting is a little rough right now because it's trying to get a brush into. The important part is getting all the little white spots done, and then kind of tweaking things after that feels a little less important in a way. But so I know it looks like things are bad right now. It will be fine in the end. I don't mind getting a little bit of paint in places it doesn't need to. It will work out in the end. Okay, just this back part. And we should probably do the actual cut-in part first. Once again, kind of start with the harder part and work towards the easier. Kind of give yourself a reward for doing the harder part. Come on, get in there. Ah, I see white. I see white and gray on spots that shouldn't be gray. And I probably have... I'm not going to get very far up in here, but I know we do need some black on the other side of that, because it does curl up and there is a void down there. So let's get the paint in that. All right, and there we have it. We have first coat of that mostly done. The arm is going to look very wrong. But, whoop, let's move this over. All right, let me go wash out this brush real quick. And we're going to go and put this together and see how this worked in the end. It looks incredibly different just looking at it now than it did before. That is for sure. I know what's going to happen. I'll look at it and go like, it needs those brass things before it really comes together. And I'll get that and go, I need that hair color before it really comes. I need the eye color before it really comes. That's going to be the big one. Let's be honest. We need eyes. Okay. I'm not going to worry about D-pads. D-pads are not important. I know I didn't finish the arm. We can do that next time. Because again, if I'm just doing brass stuff, that's going to be okay. Oh, this does look kind of okay. All right, it's coming together. The arm now looks very wrong, and the hat looks very wrong. We've now passed that point, but she is now looking definitely more like what she's supposed to be looking like, for sure. All right, so that's where we are, and yeah, until next time, we'll get the brass stuff in. We'll kind of finish off anything else here that's white, and until then, enjoy.